You booked it, episode 138. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me today on You Booked It, the number one podcast where you learn how to create a successful entertainment career. Every episode is a masterclass on how to move your career forward. And if you want even more, head over to youbookeditpodcast.com and join the email community where we dig deep into what you can be doing right now to help book that next gig. And now, let's do this. Okay, let's get started. I am excited to introduce my guest today, Maggie Bera. Are you ready for this, Maggie?
I am so ready. Thank you for having me, Dane.
Right on. Thank you for being here. Maggie is a New York City-based actress with a BFA in musical theater from Texas State University. She is a proud member of Actors Equity and SAG-AFTRA. Regionally, Maggie appeared as Aquata, understudying Ariel in The Little Mermaid, and understudying Christine in Phantom at Fireside Theater. As Lucy Van Pelt in The World According to Snoopy at Theater Under the Stars, choreographed by Adam Cates. Les Mis at Connecticut Repertory Theater, directed by Broadway legend, Tony-nominated Terrence Mann, and as Wendy in Peter Pan, starring Riley Costello and Terrence Mann. She has appeared in numerous television, print, and radio ads, and Maggie is also the creator of the actor lifestyle blog, podcast, and online learning community, Actor Aesthetic. Maggie, that is a quick intro of who you are and what you've done, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, fill in the gaps, and a little bit more about what you do as a professional in the entertainment industry?
Sure. Well, hey there, Dane. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I have been pursuing a career as a performer pretty much ever since I was about 10 years old. I began singing the national anthem for professional teams like the Mets and the Brooklyn Nets and the
Cool.
Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah, so that's how I started performing and gaining experience that way. And then I basically just spent the majority of my childhood balancing schoolwork, sports. I played travel soccer and auditions in New York City. I only was about 40 minutes away from the city, just a train ride away. So I had an agent and I was auditioning professionally. And it was a lot of work, all of
Yeah.
that, but it's just something I've always known that I wanted to do. And for years, I trained at the Paper Mill Summer Theater Conservatory and went on to receive my BFA in musical theater at Texas State. And pretty much ever since, I've worked professionally as an actress, both regionally, off Broadway, and on television. As you mentioned, I'm also the founder of Actor Aesthetic, an actor lifestyle blog, podcast, and online learning community designed to educate artists and pursuing a career in the theater industry. So that is just a little bit more about me.
Very cool. I love your journey, and I really love the actor aesthetic. It's such
Yeah.
a great platform, and you give out so much incredible value. Just got to follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, but it's just something that is really, at least during this time, since we cannot perform live, it has been really lovely getting to focus most of my energy on actor aesthetic and helping our community get through this really difficult time.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And let's move on to our first section here. And Maggie, look, I am a sucker for a good quote. What is your favorite quote you'd like to share with everyone?
I had to think about this for a little bit, but it is a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, and she says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams."
Oh, that's so good. And can you expand on how you've worked that quote into your life and your career?
Absolutely. I have always believed there is room for everyone in the theater industry, but you have to be in it for the long run. So, whether you're an actor, director, writer, choreographer, set designer, costumer, you have to believe that you are worthy. You have to believe in your gifts, how you can contribute, and what you can uniquely bring to the table. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will, especially in an industry like ours. And that is something I have been trying to apply to my daily life.
That is so well said. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes. And let's dive into this next section here. And Maggie, of course, you are an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. And I think that you'd agree that this industry can be one of the most subjective, brutally honest, personally emotional industries in existence. And you know as well as I that in order to create and have a successful career in this industry, like you're having now, takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And while, yeah, there's an outrageous amount of fun and excitement being an entertainer, doing what we do, there are also our fair share of obstacles, challenges, and failures we are going to experience and we're going to have to move forward through. So tell us, what is one key challenge, obstacle, or failure you've experienced in your career, and how did you come out the other side better because of it?
This is a great question. For me, the comparison game is very tricky and
Hmm.
super easy to fall into. And what I mean by that is comparing myself to other actors. This can be really detrimental. I've learned that it can be detrimental to my well being if I let it get that way. So I've learned it's really important to stay in your own lane. Everyone has their own path. There is no one way to success. So when you look to the left and you look to the right and you're wondering why you didn't book the job because someone else did, you're almost doing a disservice to yourself. I truly believe that the opportunity that's meant for you will find you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really, like you said in the beginning with the quote, that you have to be in things for the long haul, right?
Right.
And you have to be on this real, it's a proper journey. It's not just something you go and you're like, I'm just going to be on Broadway and you audition and you get it and you're done. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the time. And there are so many puzzle pieces into creating any production. And it doesn't matter if you're an actor or if you're a producer or if you're in hair and makeup. There are so many puzzle pieces that you need to be very correct for and right for to be the right fit for that very specific time in your life and in your career. So, like you said, stay in your lane. That's such good information.
Yeah, and I also believe the comparison game, though it can be detrimental at all, it can also, if you look at it in a positive way and in a healthy way, you can improve from it. If you are constantly comfortable where you are and comfortable with your skill set and your skill level, you'll never grow. You'll never get better. So not only is it a challenge to stop comparing yourselves to others, but it's also important that we focus on what we can control and how we can continue to grow in the theater industry, because this is just something that we need to know as actors, that it's important to stay in class and to continue learning and growing. We don't just stop after we go to a training program or we just book our first show. We have to continue to learn and grow and strive towards a better version of ourselves.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because it is a bit of a fine line between comparison and controlling what you can control and advancing yourself. Because you're right, you
Right.
can't just stay stagnant because you'll go nowhere. It's quite
Mhm.
literally the definition of the word. But you really do have to find that healthy balance because it's like when you're in a dance class, for instance, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that say you're not the best person in the dance class. Maybe you're on the lower end of the talent, or the skill set in that particular dance class. I love being in classes like that personally because
Right.
they push me and I'm able, and it's not that I'm getting upset because someone else can do something more. It's that, this is what's possible. Let me see what they're doing.
Exactly.
How do I adjust my body? How can I improve myself? So it's about the mindset that you have going into it.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And let's move on to a time that I like to call your spotlight moment. That one moment in time you realized, yes, I am going to be an entertainer for a living. Or maybe it was, yes, this is what I need to be doing as an entertainer. Tell us about that.
I love this. Oh gosh, I booked the role of Marcy in Spelling Bee at Texas State University, and I did not think I was getting a role in that production, let alone Marcy. And here's why. I was very self conscious of my improv skills. I truly did not think I was a comedic actor or had the ability to be one. I didn't think I was funny, but the director saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and it was the ability to play and to learn. And I really think my intuition booked that role. Now, the whole experience itself was very collaborative. I worked one on one with the choreographer to choreograph my solo song, and it felt like I was finally able to bring myself to the character and to the piece. And from then on, I knew that not only was I destined to be a performer, but I knew I was more than capable of intelligently taking a role and really putting my own spin on it. I also learned not to take myself so seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a lesson that we all have to eventually go through.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. And let's piggyback on that real quick and talk about your number one booked it moment.
Yeah.
Walk us through that day, the audition and callbacks, if they happen to be a part of it. What was going on in your life, and what about that moment makes it your favorite booked it moment?
Yes, this is my favorite one by far. So, within months of graduating college, I had a decent resume of both professional and educational theater credits. And I hustled, but I did not yet have my equity card yet. So I went to every single professional audition in New York City, New Jersey. I even drove out to Philadelphia. I checked to open calls, equity principal auditions, equity chorus calls. I submitted my headshot and resume to various casting directors. I signed up for an account on Backstage and Actors Access, and I thumbed through the job boards every single day. I made it my mission to hit the ground running full force once I got out of school. So it was late in the audition season, I think around September or October, and I was getting exhausted. I remember going to EPAs and ECCs as a non equity actress at the time, waiting around all day in crowded holding rooms only not to get seen was
Right.
a bummer. And it was really starting to take a toll on me physically and emotionally. But I woke up one day and I was feeling like, I don't know if I want to go into this audition today. I don't know if it's even worth it. I was getting really down on myself and I was losing steam. But I pushed myself and I decided to attend an open call, completely open call for a production at the Fireside Theater. Now, you know that open calls sometimes are notorious for being unorganized. And because they don't need to follow any equity rules, open calls are really just at the discretion of the theater and its producers, and every call is different. So this audition was held at the former NOLA studios in New York City, and it was open to all non-equity members, non-equity performers, first come, first serve. So I arrived fairly early. I signed up on a list with the monitor and I waited my turn. And little did I know that one audition would quite possibly change the course of my career. The
Wow.
monitor happened to also be the artistic director of the theater, and I had no idea at the time. I just had a friendly conversation with him, and I realized how much we had in common, and it was really nice getting to know him. Well, when I went into the audition, not only that, but I also noticed a very friendly face at the piano, and it was Richard Carsey, who had worked with my sister on the national tour of Little House on the Prairie, the musical, like 10 years prior. He was the conductor on tour and a very good friend of my family. And you ever have those auditions where you just know they're just so collaborative? Getting to collaborate in the room with him while I sang my audition piece. And he was one of the best pianists I've ever sung with in my entire life. It truly was one of the best experiences. And then the artistic director started talking to me about the shows they had coming up in their season. I got a call back for a show that I wasn't even auditioning for at the time, for Phantom, the Maury Yeston version, which I had never heard of before, only Phantom of the Opera. And I worked my tail off to prepare for it. And very soon after, I landed a role in the ensemble and I covered Christine Daae. And not only that, but the producer also offered me an equity contract, which would guarantee access to membership, basically, to join the union. So I signed my contract in November of 2017 and I officially joined Actors Equity Association. And to this day, I am forever grateful to Ed Flesh and the Fireside Theater for giving me that once in a lifetime opportunity.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
such a great story. And I think it's so important to also note that you went out there and you said, I am hitting the ground running
Yeah.
and I am going to do everything, put myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's not easy at all. But as you keep putting yourself out there, you just keep getting closer and closer to the yes, the time when you do book it, when you do make that really great collaborative experience with people in the room and it all works.
Exactly. And it's funny how it happens sometimes when you least expect it. I really didn't think I was going to go to that audition. I didn't think it was
Mm,
my show to audition for. And it really, the show that was happening at the time that I was auditioning for certainly really wasn't my show, but it was a great opportunity to get in front of that creative team. It's just taking the opportunity when it comes and not getting in your own way, I think is what I learned from that experience.
yeah, not getting in your own way. And also, especially I would say when you're new-ish to a market,
Hmm.
don't do yourself the disservice of pigeonholing yourself.
Right.
The industry's going to do that for you. And then once they do that, then it becomes the other struggle of getting yourself
Exactly.
unpigeonholed. But don't do it to yourself.
Hmm.
Go out there, see what you can make happen.
Exactly. It's just not worth it to pigeonhole yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's take a moment to talk about the present. What projects are you working on now? What are you looking forward to? And it's a crazy time, right? We're amidst this
Yeah.
global pandemic. How do you see the entertainment industry moving forward in the next couple of years?
Sure. So, right now, I am working on staying positive because the coronavirus, as you know, has virtually halted all theatrical productions.
Mm-hmm.
I have been focusing my energy on my business, which we spoke about briefly before, but actor aesthetic. I am constantly researching, interviewing, creating content for my audience to continue educating and inspiring them during this very difficult time. I also have been busy holding workshops with college theater programs across the US on how actors can take control of their online presence, both through social media and professional websites. And I think this is an excellent topic of conversation these days because I do see the entertainment industry moving virtually, at least more virtually than it has in the past until there is a solution to the coronavirus, until there's a vaccine, and until we feel safe. As far as the future of theater, I really am looking forward to an industry that is more inclusive. We've been hearing a lot of talks about racial inequity and gender inequality, and I just am looking forward to an entertainment industry that promotes equality and champions diversity.
Yeah, I really like all of your insight on that. And also with actor aesthetic, really great, I think, that you're focusing on that digital presence.
Right.
Because, the last 7 years, I've been in Vegas
Hmm.
working and performing, and that's kind of been my hub that I've gone out of and gone and performed elsewhere and things like this. But I found that on the West Coast, when you're in Vegas and in LA, the idea of really being heavily on Instagram as far as using it truly as your running resume
Hmm.
has been a bit more established than on the East Coast. And now on the East Coast, it's really picking up steam, and people are going, "Oh, wait, we need this,"
Yeah,
because
you're absolutely right.
it's for a lot of years now. Casting directors have already been when you apply, when you submit for anything, you go to an audition. What they want you to fill out also is your Instagram handle. What is it? Because they're gonna go check it out. And is and the crazy part is, it doesn't really matter if you think that's crazy, you think it's stupid. The fact is that this is what's happening. It's
Right.
already happening full steam on the West Coast. It's only going to start
Mhm.
happening more on the East Coast. And it's all about marketing. It's all
Right.
about money because they want to leverage your audience to get butts in the seats.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely. And there's no fault to them. It's something that's really important when it comes to the business aspect
yeah,
of both the theater industry and the film and TV industry.
absolutely. And then also a website. A lot of people dismiss them. They go,
Hmm.
people don't do people really go to websites? And the thing is, people do. They do go to
Yep.
websites, and it's also a great tool to have
Hmm.
because it is something that you 100% control. There's
Exactly.
no ads that are going to interrupt anybody unless you choose to put ads on your website, but it's up to you. And you own the rules of the game. Because Instagram or Facebook, they can just change their algorithms. They can change anything at any time and make
Hmm.
you more difficult to search and find. Whereas your website is always about whatever message you want to portray in the way you want to portray it. So I think having a website is so important for all entertainers.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's something that it's just one of the few things that actors feel we can control right now because of the pandemic. But why not take advantage of it? There are a lot of negative aspects of social media for sure. But
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that the positive is being able to create and establish relationships online and also to have control of your online presence and to show creatives and casting directors and artists a little bit more of you that they might not be able to see in the audition room itself.
Yeah, for sure. And case in point, look, how did we get connected? I send you a DM and hey,
Here we
want to be on
are.
the show? And there we go. So it's so important for relationship building for sure. Have you heard of a website called Entertainer Websites?
I have not.
Yep. So they it's basically like a Squarespace or Wix,
Uh-huh.
but it's catered towards entertainers and like killer pricing and everything like that. So I don't know, it's really good. Check it out. Or
Wow, that's awesome. I'll write that
yeah.
down.
So it's just very niche, right? Yeah, very cool. And let's move on to one of my favorite sections. It's called the Grease Lightning Round. I am going to ask you a handful of questions. I want you to answer them as quickly and concisely as possible, one after another. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
All right, first question. What was the one thing holding you back from committing to a career as an entertainer?
The fear of failure.
Second question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
I love this one. When one door closes, another one always opens.
Yes. And the third question. What is something that is working for you right now? Or if you'd like to go pre COVID, what was working for you before our industry went on pause?
Doing the work, controlling what I have the power to control, and leaving the rest to the universe.
Oh, it's so good. You can stress yourself out way too much trying to
Hmm.
control all those other factors that just don't matter. They're going to happen regardless.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's, sometimes easier said than done,
Hmm.
but focus on you, focus on what you can control. That's so important. And the fourth question. What is your best resource, whether that's a book, a movie, a YouTube, maybe a podcast or piece of technology that you've found is helping your career right now?
Honestly, it's the ability to be active on social media. Like you said, it's how we connected. And as an actor and creative, it has been an absolute gift getting to create content and build relationships on social media.
Yeah. And the fifth question. If you had to start your career from scratch, but you still had all the knowledge and experience you've collected from your career in this industry, what would you do or not do? Would you do anything differently or would you keep it the same?
I would definitely 100% take more class. Growing up, I wasn't a huge fan of taking classes at things I wasn't necessarily natural at. I
Hmm,
hated going to dance class, hated taking piano, hated practicing, and I wish I just pushed through that.
very good. And the last question. What is the golden nugget knowledge drop you've learned from your successful career in this industry you'd like to leave with our listeners?
When it comes to the theater industry, I promise you, nothing is personal.
Oh, that is so pertinent. It is
Hmm.
literally, like we talked a bit earlier, it's all about the puzzle pieces. It has nothing to do with you. You either fit
Yes.
or you don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, such a better way to go into auditions, go into submissions, anything like that.
Because it gives you the power, it gives you your power back.
Exactly right. And to wrap up this interview, Maggie, it is time to give yourself a plug. Where can we find you? How do our listeners connect with you? Is there anything you want to promote?
Sure, you can follow me on social media at Actor Aesthetic or my personal account at Maggie Bera. You can also follow me at www.maggiebera.com. And for more resources, you can visit actoraesthetic.com.
Beautiful. And for everyone listening out there, I have put the links to everything Maggie just said into the description of this episode so you can easily connect with her. And also be sure to share this podcast with your fellow entertainers, coaches, teachers, or anyone you know who is aspiring to create a career in this industry. It is become an integral part of helping them succeed because this podcast, believe it or not, has actually become the largest resource of expertise on this very specific subject. So let people know about it. And if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Maggie, thank you so much for being here today. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me, Dane.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't miss an episode. I have a new guest 7 days a week. Every guest drops more value and insight than any other resource out there. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a rating and review. Also, be sure to head over to youbookeditpodcast.com and join our free email community where we dig deep into a continually growing resource of truly actionable things you can be doing right now to help you advance your entertainment career. All the best to you. We'll see you tomorrow.